What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn on your post notifications. We're gonna get into a haircut tutorial today. We're gonna be doing a wave cut. As you can see here, my boy's been woofing for a little bit, so we wanted to make this as much of a transformation as possible. I'm gonna be doing a high taper on the sides, high taper on the back, and a little bit of spice with some enhancements, and just get my boy back in the game. So stay tuned. Hope you learned something from the video, but thank you for watching.
Look, I just flipped the switch.
Let's get right to it, y'all. We got the Rebel, which is the Stylecraft Rebel in my hand. I'm using the Stylecraft double magnetic guards on this clipper. We have a number 2 guard closed on the clipper. He did tell me that he wanted the top wavelength to a 1.5, but I always go about half a step up from what they want on the top of the head around the crown area, because I don't want to bald out that crown area. So I'm taking my time with the crown, going with the number 2, and I'm just knocking some bulk down just to see what it looks like. You can always take more hair off, but you can never put hair back on. So always remember that when you're doing a haircut, and always remember that the crown is a very crucial area that you need to pay attention to. You don't want to go too low too fast, because you could bald out that area, and that's something that you don't want. But now we have that 1.5 guard on there, lever closed, and I'm just knocking all this down to the desired length that my client wanted, which is the 1.5. I'm sure he knew what he was talking about, but I just, for my purpose and my sake, I just wanted to make sure that I was safe with what I was doing and where I was at. Now we have the the Gamma Plus X-ERGO in my hand right now. We're making our initial bald line, and what we're doing here is just making a sad face shape. That way we can create more of a darker line on the sides of the edge up. So by doing this, you can fade more so in the middle and fade out and keep your edges dark. So now I have the X-ERGO, Gamma Plus X-ERGO in my hand, and we are making our initial guideline. We did the no guard lever open, created a panel of hair to fade into. Then we close the lever all the way up, and we're just going to slowly open those notches and fade up until we have that area completely faded out. Now, something that's very helpful with the X-ERGO is the fact that it has those notches that you count and see where you're at if you're a beginner barber. It really helps out. But now we have the lever closed, number 1 guard on the clipper, making another panel of hair to fade into. And what we're doing on the back here was creating a extended blend on the taper, so that way we could see the gradiency of the blend. Now once we got that 1 guard lever closed out the way, creating our panel of hair, we are going to take a half guard and just slowly open the notches one by one and fade up until we get this area completely faded out. Now you may need to revert back and detail a little bit, open and close the lever to your desire, to make sure that you get those dark areas blended out. Now you can see here, a lot of times with clients, they have their do-rags on, and sometimes they're very tight on their head, so you can see that line drastically, and that is the toughest area to blend out. So you want to make sure that you're brushing constantly, brushing that hair down so you can see what you're fading into. Now we have that 1.5 guard lever closed, making another panel of hair to fade into. So you can see here, I'm taking my time on that area where the do-rag was sitting to make sure that we get it all evenly cut. Brush the hair, fade up, brush the hair, fade up. Now we have that 1 guard lever closed, and we're starting to cut this panel of hair to blend that little area that we created with the 1.5 lever closed. Now we got that 1 guard. You're going to close your lever all the way and open the notches until you fade that area out completely. Now you can see how his hair grows, and the way it was laying under the do-rag is slightly to the left. So you can see me angle my clipper every now and again to make sure that I go against the grain, to make sure we evenly cut all the hair. Now after that, we have our number 2 guard lever closed, and I'm sorry, the 1.5 lever open, which is essentially a number 2 guard, and we're just trying to fade into that bulk. Now I'm constantly brushing, trying to get this hair to lay down so we can see the blend the way I want to see it. Now I changed the angles here just so you could see me blend the right side, the darker areas, the harder spots to get, and I'm detailing until I get this area to my liking, to with the type of quality work I put out. Now after that, I have that 1.5 guard and we start with the lever open, and we're going with the grain, and I'm going to gradually close the lever all the way until it's completely closed with that 1.5 guard, just to kind of essentially thin out this area and knock it down without drastically taking bulk off. We're kind of just blending with the grain. Now once I get done with the 1.5 guard, I do get my 1 guard again, and I start to detail little areas that I see, opening and closing the lever to find what needs to be blended out. I'm using the first 2-3 corners of the blade to detail, not making sure I don't dig in too much, because you don't want to patch your client where you're trying to detail. Now after that, I have the Babyliss Low Pro FX trimmer, and I'm edging up the back here. And like I said, the way we made that sad face shaper guideline, the sad faced shape guideline at the beginning, it's going to create darker edges on the side, so you can see those dark edges when you edge it up towards the end of your haircut. Now I have that X-ERGO, or balding out, creating a bald line for the side taper. And like I said, this is going to be a high taper, so we're not going to have your C cups or your hooks or whatever you guys call it, but we're going to completely knock those out. All we're going to have are the vertical bars and the front edge up to work with after this blend. But we have the lever open, no guard, creating our first panel of hair to fade into. And you can see I'm kind of making a curved shape. That's just how I do my taper specifically. I know a lot of people make straight guidelines. I just think that it creates more of a darker area to edge up once you get to that portion of the haircut. Now you can see me here opening and closing the lever to get this area faded out. Now majority of the time, your side tapers won't take too long. Essentially, I've noticed myself that these can be knocked out easily. It's the back area that I tend to take more time on, for the reason being, you have your occipital bone back there, and you have your clients wearing the do-rag, so those two things combined kind of create more difficulty on the back. But on the side, there's not much indentation from the do-rag, and there's no occipital bone that you have to work against, or so that makes it much easier when you're doing the side. So you can see here I have that half guard, and we're just opening the lever slightly until we get that panel faded out. So before this, we had the 1 guard lever closed, and we created a panel of hair to fade into. Now I do use the Gamma Plus double magnetic guard system, but the only guard that I still use from wall is going to be that half guard. The wall half guard to me is iconic, it's monumental, it's something that can't be replaced. But other than that, I use Gamma Plus or Stylecraft double magnetic guards for the rest of the process of the fade. So you can see here, I got that brush in hand, and I'm making sure anytime I fade, I'm gonna brush that hair back down, because you don't want that hair to curl back up and then you not see what you're fading into. So you gotta constantly brush that hair. I can't stress that enough. With wave cuts, you have to make sure that the hair is brushed down, so you could go against the grain and get a nice smooth blend, an even blend, nicely transitioned into the bulk. But you can see here, this blend's coming out nicely. My boys got them 360s. So once we get this area completely faded out, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing that we do to the right side to the left side. And like I said, I'm using those X-ERGOs with the double magnetic guards. I thoroughly love the way this clipper cuts. I tend to use the X-ERGO more so for fading, and then I use the Rebel to knock down bulk. The Rebel just eats through hair like a lawnmower. It's unrealistic how much it could just eat through hair. It's got so much power, lightweight, great clipper. Both these clippers are what I've had in my arsenal now for, I want to say, maybe 2 to 3 months, and I've used nothing but these. But right here, we're going with the grain with the number 1 guard lever open, which is essentially a half guard. And we're just getting this area to get the smoothest transition possible. By going with the grain, like I said, you're not going to be knocking down bulk. You're just more so kind of thinning the area, but strategically thinning. You're not thinning because you're trying to patch your client or anything like that. You're strategically thinning out the area to create a nice transition into that bulk. Now I just time lapse the left side because we did exactly what we did on the right side to this side. Nothing new, same process, and we're just knocking it out. So you can see here, my boy's waves is already popping. You know, once we add that edge up, once we add a little enhancement to the cut, it's just gonna make that haircut pop that much more. Now I know a lot of people still don't agree with enhancements. You know, a lot of people don't think that that's part of real barbering. But you got to get your bag however you get your bag. No judgment from me. If you like them, you don't like them, you know, that's on you. That's your opinion. But for me personally, I'm going to add some sauce to the cut. So you can see here I'm adding some hair spritz. I use a, I believe it's called Below. It's the BTZ brand you can get at Sally's, but it's a purple hair spritz. It's called the Scruncher. That's what I sprayed on his hair to get the hair to stay in place for his front edge up. And once I do that, I brush the hair down and let it dry, and then I start the edge up. So I start from the middle, work my way to the side, and then start from the side and kind of work my way back to the middle to connect the dots essentially between the middle and the side of the edge up. Now I'm knocking at the vertical bar and just getting them nice and crispy as I possibly can. I'm using the Low Pro FX, like I said, got the 245 power clip from the actual Babyliss FX clipper. You can throw that on there and it fits. You know, it's an unorthodox way of, you know, doing it, but it does work, it does fit, it does charge. So if you got the Low Pro FX, throw that Babyliss FX clipper power clip on there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. All right, now I'm throwing on the it's the light brown black ice Barber magic pencil, and that's what we're using to create the outline. And after I throw that on there, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some enhancement on the inside of that. So basically you're creating your outline and then you're filling it in with the color. Now once we do that, once we get all the color laid in there, we're gonna go ahead and blend that color pencil out. Now what I'm using right now is a air compressor that I got off Amazon. It was like $47. Got here in 2 days with Prime. I'm using a 245 no drip Onyx Black. I have the Sean Cuts Hair color card in hand. All of these tools are great tools. I've been using them for, I want to say, over a year. No drip I've been using for over, since this came out. You know, I've been, you know, a fan of the 245 products for a long time. But right here, like I said, we're using that Low Pro FX to blend that pencil out. And the pencil just creates contrast. It creates a, you know, it helps your edge up to pop that much more because you're lightening the edges so that color could pop. You're highlighting the edge up. So you can see here, got the color in there. We're blending out that pencil. Waves is popping. And we're still not even finished with the haircut. There's still one more thing that I like to do with wave cuts that you'll see here. If you watch my videos before, you know it's a little trick that I use to make the waves pop a little bit more. But looking crispy. I have to apologize to my client. I filmed this cut like maybe a month and a half ago, and he was waiting for me to put this up. So he was woofing for a little bit so I could record this video. So shout out to him for allowing me to use him for my canvas for my model for this video. I got the Derby Premium blade in there. I'm using the level 3 A-Rod edition razor holder, and we're just edging up this area, making it, you know, making it crispy, doing the little details that'll separate you from, you know, the barber down the street. It amazes me how many clients I hear come into the shop and tell me that their barber is not using a razor. Like I can't fathom that, because for every haircut that razor is pulled out and we use it for every client. But I'm freehanding a little bit, knocking down any bit of long hairs that are out of place, and we're just floating that clipper across the top of the hair. We're not going to patch them. This takes a high level of discipline, a high level of steadiness to make sure that you knock this out properly without patching your client. And like I said, you want to be very cautious in this crown area, so make sure that you are paying attention and you are watching what you do if you are doing something like this, because that has no guard on it. that is just no guard, lever closed, and you could easily pad somebody. But I got some oil sheen, we sprayed it on there. I'm taking a neck strip and I'm essentially buffing that oil into his hair, and the oil makes those waves pop so much more. This is a trick that I learned from DL Master Barber. If you don't know who that is, he's a barber that's been in the game for a good minute. He's on movie sets, he does seminars, he does classes and all that. But I picked this up from him when he had did a class, I believe it's in Amarillo. But there is the wave cut. You can see my boy's waves is popping. But there's the cut. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope I could add some knowledge to your arsenal. But I appreciate everybody for checking out this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn on your post notifications, give this video a like. Go check out some of the other videos that I have out there. But once again, thank you for watching this video. And until next time, God bless.